What are you allowing into your body, mind, energy, or life? And what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions Publishing, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of one of our newest books. This one is called The Simple Spiritual Guide to Clean Living. I'm going to give you all a little peek at this book cover. Practices for healing, growth, and transformation. Shout out to our lead author, Anne Marie Tosse. Anne Marie had a big vision and mission for this book. She gathered around her a stellar group of experts. Thank you, Anne Marie, for everything. We would not be here without you. And I have some of those very cool people in my Zoom room today. Marieke Lelyveld is a quantum healer, animal communicator, mindset teacher, and founder of Conscious Quantum, supporting individuals in activating self-healing, expanding awareness, and awakening their multidimensional potential. Marieke, welcome. I have Angel Gold here. She's the founder of the Fireheart Mystery School on School, where they reconnect with self-trust and self-love. Welcome, Angel. And
No.
Scott Holmes is here, Amazon best-selling author, Reiki master, and intuitive quantum healer. We got a lot of quantum going on today. I love it. You guys, this Zoom might explode or something. I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm super happy to have you all. Angel, Scott, welcome back. And let's talk about this. Angel, give me a little bit of the why behind the chapter that you wrote for this book.
Well, that's a big question. I have spent, I don't know, is this the fourth or fifth collaborative book that I have written in processing this story? And I feel like this book kind of brought it to the accumulation and the ending for me. When you walk through traumatic relationships, there's a lot of why did this happen? Why did I allow this to happen again? And part of my work is learning how to recapitulate those stories and to go, okay, well, what about other stories? What about other relationships that I've had? Oh, that one actually went well. And so it helps you not be so mean to yourself and say, I went into this with an open heart and I missed some of the signs. And so through this book, I was able to sharpen my discernment. So the why was let's sharpen that discernment and learn because we need to learn from the experiences that we have here on earth.
So sounds like being gentle to yourself about it.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know that we're so good at that sometimes. Like, how can you help somebody do that if they're in the middle of it? What do you think?
Well, that, like you said, that self-love, that let's not abandon ourselves anymore. And that's part of the tool, which we can talk about later, is really discerning what's happening in your body and spotting that override. Why are we overriding ourselves? What are the stories that are making us override ourselves? And, as storytellers, sometimes we get hooked on a story even if it's not manifesting the way we want it to manifest in life, we still stay hooked to the story because it's so good, because we're so good at storytelling. But it takes two to create the story. And when one's manipulating and extracting, and you're on this love fest journey all by yourself, the crash comes.
So, how do you take awareness to discernment level? What do you think is the step of that?
Well, I talk about that in my tool, and I've come up with the framework called STAND. And that is spot the override, trust your signal, anchor the truth, name your boundary, and do not negotiate. And I think a lot of us get that negotiation, the self abandonment comes. Your body knows. And if you don't listen to your body, that's when your body pays for it. So that connection between your intuition and your body is very, very important to listen to.
All right, we're going to ask you more about that in a few minutes. So hold tight to that stand. We want to hear more about that. And thank you for saying yes and being in this project, being here today.
My pleasure.
Scott, tell us a little bit about your why.
Well, Anne Marie asked, and I was thinking, what can I contribute about simple living and the purity of living? And I thought about the standing on my own 2 feet. For years, I didn't. For years, well, to use Angel's word, capitulated. But I did whatever was necessary to make everybody in my life happy. And and I did that, and I bent myself into pretzels. And so when you bend yourself so often and so much, you forget what standing without contorting yourself feels like. And bringing that fear out of it and being able to stand on your own. Standing on my own 2 feet was finding my grounding, finding, you'll notice this, which was gifted to me by an angel, and it's a grounding stone. And it really has allowed me to really ground more. No matter where you are in your journey, you're gonna want to do this. We talk about the practices throughout all of these books and within these stories, and it's never stops. You know, for all of us, that learning never stops. But it also takes fear out of your everyday uh, life. And when fear is gone, all of a sudden you can really start listening to your body, as Angel has said, to what your journey is and what you really want. And being able to stand, man, there is nothing better than that.
I think it's interesting that Angel has stand and then your title had on stand on your own. I'm like, all right, what's going on here with this little theme of standing? And then of course the universe is going to put you together for this beautiful interview. So I want to just back up. Oop, I'm going to lose my earplug. I want to back up to what you said about when the fear is gone, because it's palpable to me, the difference. Like, what do you want to tell people about that if they're just in it and they can't really figure out how to make it any different?
So there is fear of losing the fear. If you've carried that all your life and you know it and you're familiar with it and you're comfortable with it because you've adjusted to it, all of a sudden, not having it there, there's that sense of loss. So many people I work with and know have felt a loss from a story that they've had all their life. And to change that story, what am I without that? And so for me, when after my wife passed, I found that I had no idea who I was. And didn't know how to stand on my own 2 feet. I didn't know how to be alone. I didn't know how to be who I was meant to be. And I had to remember all of those things. And so being able to take the weight off, to be able to stand up straight, to be able to stand proud, to be able to be heart led. Hey, I'm a guy. And being heart led is not an easy thing. And you're led by your heart with compassion, with understanding, all of a sudden everything looks different, everything changes, and everything is lighter. And in doing that, you can be present and talk to people as you are, not as you think they want you to be, but as you are.
Yeah, that's a game changer too. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for adding your wisdom to this wonderful book. Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure.
Marike, tell us a little bit of the why behind your chapter.
The why can really makes me dive into going back to childhood of growing up so sensitive in a world that wasn't always holding this sensitivity. And as Angel and Scott also speak about, is our intuition and heart-led, living your life from a heart-led place. So the whys behind my book or my chapter are really around unlocking our human potential and tapping into these parts of us that have been forgotten, that we now have a chance to re-remember who we really truly are on a multidimensional level, and not only superficial how we present ourselves maybe outwards. So really that deep embodiment of our soul's essence, our heart, and why we're here. What is our mission? What's our purpose?
When somebody is forgetting and they're having experiences or manifestations of being in that place of forgetting, how do they know? Help us with helping our listeners with that awareness. What might they be experiencing?
Yeah, I feel it starts with overriding our inner knowing and overriding those subtle senses, those red flags that Angel also spoke about, those little nudges. Maybe it's shortening your breath ever so slightly or feeling a little bit tight somewhere in your body. So your body is really that road map that we're meant to listen to. Our body is really the conduit where our essence can really expand within, so we have an authentic expression. But if we override that, we just don't feel like ourselves, and we start to maybe play a role, or we start to kind of follow the stories in our life that we fell in love with. But that deep authentic expression, it really comes from the depth of our heart, I feel. And our breath, it's like if our breath is spacious. So when we do breath work, grounding practices, heart coherency practices, we start to create a baseline of how our essence really naturally feels. And then we can start to gauge and notice even more when we're a little bit out of alignment, or when an energy doesn't feel so right, or a person comes into our field and we're like, ooh, our body suddenly responds different. And then to just sit with that, not to identify it right away, but just let yourself sit with that. What is happening within?
And I think you're talking about this place of fine tuning, and you all, I love playing in the sandbox with you all because you've been practicing a minute. And so, do you think that if I'm not quite to the fine tuning stage, like I'm still over here, Marike, like I'm still like I'm in the mess of my life because I've been not paying attention. So, would you agree that relationships will blow up? I will have problems at my job. Like, how is this showing up for people in your world?
It starts even with the frustration within ourselves, right? When we're not in full alignment or we're not fully expressing ourselves, we always have that inner turbulence, that inner current that doesn't feel completely right. And then when we interact with other people, it just, again, that frustration, that friction is there. And it doesn't feel like coherency. It doesn't feel like resonance. It feels like just something that just kind of constantly is triggering the field, I guess, in every relationship. Also, maybe even in your thoughts and your self-love and that inner conversation. So when you're really in the midst of it all, and I know we've all been there too, and that's why we're here, right? Because we've walked the path and we've listened and integrated those pieces that really worked for us. I feel always going back to earth, going back to grounding, earthing, connecting with nature. And even just sitting against a tree for a moment, 5 minutes can already just kind of create that little bit of shift in coherency. And then really finding what gives you joy. If that is listening to some music and just moving your body, but move it. Anytime when we feel stuck, any place where we are, start to move, start to listen to some music that feeds your soul, and take it from there. It's the small steps that have that long-term improvement.
So, huge thanks to all three of you because I always challenge you guys to put that vulnerable, real story in these books, and you did it. And then in the second parts of the chapters is the practice. And I challenged you to give the reader an experience, to walk them through something so they could have that experience. And You all did that so well in this book. These books, I think, are such big gifts for that one reason alone is to our listeners, you're going to be able to practice the things that our authors are talking about today right from the book. So thank you for doing that. I want to talk a little bit more about clean living, right? The topic of the book. This means so many things to many different people, this clean living. Like, what does this mean? Scott, what does it mean? What does it mean to you?
Clean living means, for me, is doing what's right for yourself. There are so many options that we have now, whether it's on the phone, on the television, distractions, food, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is that takes away from living the life that we're meant to. Clean living for me is all about remembering who you are, leading that path. Doesn't mean abstaining from everything. There's got to be joy. There's got to be fun. There's got to be all those things. For me, it's always been about travel, experience, and connection. And that's how I have found that it resonates with me best. And when I am there, I am my best self. And when I'm my best self, I can be there for other people. I can be much better for other people. I can hold space for other people. I can be able to contribute to the world in a much cleaner, better, straightforward way, and not have to bend myself into pretzel in order to do that. And someone's other version of what I should do and what I should be.
I like the way you kicked that question off, and it's been interesting to hear some of the other authors talk about it too. And I've heard a repeated piece that I'm interested in, and that's like it's about remembering who you are. Yeah, it's very interesting. Marieke, how would you answer this? Like, what else does clean living mean to you?
Clean living and exactly remembering who we are. That's really all my work is centered around remembering again. Because if we go back to simple and clean living where essence can be nourished, our body is nourished just with the things that come from nature, not all the toxins that have been put upon all the products that we use. So for myself personally, it's been as a journey of constantly looking at what is in every product. What do I put into my body? What is my environment like? Is that even clean, purified in a way? Can I optimize the energy? So clean living is really going back for me to the basics, the foundation, making things simple as well so that you can keep up with that beautiful self-care practice that you have.
I'm so glad you brought up products. I'll give a friend a little shout out. She wrote a really cool article on Substack the other day, Miss Melissa Maxwell, and she was hitting on the topic of skincare products. And basic summary is like that whole beauty industry gave us products that created a problem that we need more products for. And don't get me started, right? Because we'll be here for 3 more hours. But yes, I love the idea of thinking about everything we put on, put in, think, all it, right? It's everything. It's why this is such a big topic. Angel, how about you? What does clean living mean to you?
I'm going to take this more into the sensory realm, um, because with my chapter, How Devotion Became Self-Abandonment, with me, a lot of the abandonment came from words. And so I don't want words, I want feelings. And if I have the ick in any realm, it's not clean. So if it's somebody talking to me and it's not clean words, it's ick. If it's on my skin and I don't like how it feels, it's ick. So I have stepped into an isolation for the last couple of months with no words because that's how I was manipulated. That's how I self-abandoned, was with word mastery. And so I went sensory for the last couple of months. What makes my body feel clean? I want no ick, whether it's substances, creams, humans, words, environments. If I get that ick, it's not clean. So I've really, really tuned into my body, and I'm letting my body talk, not my head or my mouth.
Not an easy thing to do. Yeah, that's good. Okay, you guys, I really want to give you a chance to talk more about these practices. You're already touching on all of them as you're answering these questions. So, Marike, let's start with you. What's the most important thing you want us to know about unlocking that blueprint of our human potential? This is right from their chapter titles, you guys.
I'm going to bring you back to the beginning of creation for a moment.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Doesn't
Okay.
everyone want to kind of have a peek? It's like, what was this universe, this multiverse before this earth came to existence? Right? Like, what is first light? And if you read through my chapter, I speak about ma, ha, ka, wa, ta, hi. And we speak it with a bit of a volume. And it comes from the depth of our being. And when we speak these sounds, they are like codes of resonance, as everything is energy, frequency, vibration. It holds a memory. And if we go back to first light, ma, and first rep, ha, first born, ka, first love, wa, first stone, ta, and first fire, hi, we start to remember what was there before any distortion, what was there before time created this beautiful planet and all its sentient beings on it, all the life force energy. What was there when light and dark, yin and yang, was beautifully in balance, when masculine and feminine was working together. So it's more of a question, I guess, that I'm bringing back to everyone listening and reading, of what is that place within yourself of first light, undistorted light. We also call it pure crystalline light.
What a great question to pose. This is no small potatoes stuff here, you guys. What a wonderful journaling prompt. You guys pause, rewind, take that as a prompt. Let some things move through you with that question. It's really beautiful, Marike. Thank you. Angel, for you, what's the most important thing you want us to know about that moment you took a stand?
Discernment is your best friend. I take that as an ally and work with it. If you can bring it into your body and, starting with the acronym, spot the override, as soon as you feel that twinge of, whether it's ick, red flag, whatever it is, you know that signal in your body. As soon as you feel that, just stop immediately and drop in and ask your body, is this mine? Do I need to be paying attention? And trust what comes up for you. Trust what comes up for you. Your body is your ally. It is your protection for your spirit. And when you can further develop that relationship between spirit and matter, then you can drop into anchoring what is your truth. And to be the main character of your storyline, you absolutely need to know what your truth is, what your book of law is as you're navigating Earth here. And then from that truth, from that space of, like what Marike said, when you are balanced, your divine feminine and masculine is balanced within, and your protector is protecting your spirit, then you can name that boundary with authority. And then there's no negotiation. That's where the king queen energy comes in. But to have that happen, that relationship between spirit and matter has to be solid. And it can't come with words. It's a feeling, it's an inside. And so the main thing I want people to take away is, do not let people manipulate you with their words. It's easier to spot the actions, but it's the words also. That's been my biggest lesson the last 6 months.
Thank you. Scott, what's the most important thing you want us to know? There's some more standing here about standing on your own 2 feet. You know, like when I read your subtitle, From Fear to Presence, again, I'm just repeating myself, like there's a palpable shift. What do you want us to know about this?
There's the practice that I have is called 5G. It's gratitude first. So if we're thankful for who we are, where we are, everything around us, when we change into a feeling of gratitude, all of a sudden things look a little bit differently. They look a little bit brighter. And then grounding. All of us have talked about grounding in one way or another. And no matter how you do it, it's being centered here. Guidance, being able to listen. You know, that quiet time that, you first wake up, and that quiet time right before you get out of bed and you start running and you get on your to-do list. It's that quiet time. Who are you listening to? Is it your mind? Is it your guides? Is it your heart? What are you listening to? And what I call guardrails, and we've all mentioned boundaries, right? But guardrails for me is a little bit different in that it isn't these giant walls, but the guardrails like on a highway, and it keeps you on your path. Doesn't mean you can't stop and look at a bear that's picking berries on the side of the highway, like just happened when we were in Canada. But you can stop, but it keeps you on that path and keeps you safe from going off. And the last thing is generosity, and you have to be very present to be generous and have a generous spirit, because you have to be full here in order to give. And when you're full, that's there. And fear has no place in that. Fear doesn't exist when you have all of those. And so in my journey, which has been for the last 15 years, I've really enjoyed finding out who I was and be able to stand on my own 2 feet and be able to say no when I mean no, be able to not feel badly because I can't do something. And so it's always about being able to be you and what's right for you, and knowing and feeling what's right for you.
And that is a fabulous place to wrap up with that last message. Thank you, Scott, Angel, Marike. Thank you so much for what you do in the world. Thank you for being here today to share it with everyone. This is way more than a book. This community is badass, y'all. It's a generous community who all of these expert authors are there to answer a question. Maybe you want to carry on this conversation. Come on down into the show notes. I have everybody's websites there. Go click, go explore, see what they're up to. There's a lot of amazing opportunities to connect with these awesome people. Of course, we would love for you to grab your copy of this beautiful book. So I've got the link down below for that as well. And lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.